All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with breakdown number 2 of this Wednesday. It is the UFC Fight Night. Alexander Volkov versus Jarizino Rozenstruik UFC Fight Night card here from the Apex in Las Vegas. After a week off of the UFC, we're back. Justin's here in the comments. Good to see you. And back with my co-host. It's been a minute. Lewis returns.
Yeah, man.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Just excited to see there's some returning favorites on this card, and it's a real interesting one because all my comments have basically been 50-50 on most of these fights.
Yeah. It's I think that there's a couple heavy odds. Evelev fight is very heavily favored in Evelev's side, so we've talked about that a little bit, but we'll kind of give our fresh thoughts this week and everything. But 14 fights on the card. We're not going to skip around. We have the LFA video up right now from earlier in the day with Lucky Locks. We agreed on all our picks, so if you want to make money, go and listen to that because you will make money listening to those. Hopefully we can keep it going through the weekend here. We got a ONE FC card on Friday also, and then the UFC on Saturday. 14 fights as of now. The first fight is at 125 between Aaron Blanchfield and JJ Aldrich. I kind of surprised this is the first fight of the night. Sometimes the UFC kind of has been doing this though, where they put a pretty high quality fight first. I think it's a pretty high quality fight, and we talked about 50-50 on a lot of these fights. I know this is definitely a fight that a lot of people are going to be on Aaron Blanchfield's side for. I know that she's the prospect. She basically you've probably never seen Space Jam, but in Space Jam,
why have I not seen Space Jam?
I just assume you haven't seen
one
it.
of the greatest movies ever. That's
okay. So you know how
in the UK, mate. That is so big.
Perfect. So the way the aliens stole the talent in that, they just touched these players, or got the players to touch, and they stole all their juju or whatever. That's basically what Aaron Blanchfield's done since getting into the UFC, and now after beating Miranda Maverick on short notice, was able to do. She basically got Miranda Maverick's hype, where everybody was like, Miranda Maverick
is Charles Barkley in this scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Miranda Maverick is, Sean Bradley, Muggsy Bogues, whichever you would prefer from the Toon Squad or the alien squad.
I like the analogy, though. I like it.
Yeah, so that's basically what has happened with Blanchfield. In all seriousness, Blanchfield is allegedly a Taekwondo black belt, although you don't really see that evidence in how she's fighting. She doesn't really move like a Taekwondo fighter. She doesn't throw particularly a lot of kicks or anything. She's pretty much a very well-rounded, controlling wrestler and grappler is how I would describe her. She's 23 years old, trains with the likes of fighter or jiu-jitsu players like Daniel Kelly. And so she's working on her grappling at all times. She's been tested in Invicta since she was 19 years old. So she's really been on a high level of high level of testing for fights from a very young age. Only lost coming with the split decision to Tracy Cortez, which take that for what you will, but Cortez is not looking bad. And then JJ Aldrich also kind of has grown up in the octagon. I definitely think we saw one of the best versions of her last time out. Yes, I'm biased. She beat Jillian Robertson, so I'm going to shine that performance. But she stopped 11 of 12 takedowns in that fight. And that's the key for JJ Aldrich is that if she can keep her takedown defense going, volume, stand-up wise, I think she can really have the better of Aaron Blanchfield. There's times where Aaron Blanchfield on the feet kind of just shells off defensively, and I think the volume and boxing of a JJ Aldrich could have some advantages. However, the thing with JJ here is that the more she throws the volume, the more she's going to be susceptible to being taken down. So it's just one of these things where I think that we're going to see what we've seen in JJ in a few different of her fights where she gets stuck in this kind of neutral position where she's not being aggressive enough. She's being too defensive, too worried about the fight being taken to where she doesn't want it. And I just think that unless she can really – I just don't see her being able to stuff 11 of 12 takedowns from Aaron Blanchfield. And unless Aaron really abandons her game plan – I do think that Aaron should be able to take this one. I think it's a decision all day. I think the over 2.5, I'm sure, is juiced, but I think it's going to be a decision either way. if Blanchfield doesn't get the takedowns, this gets very greasy and to the point where I would almost favor JJ Aldrich. But I do think that Aaron's able to chain the takedowns together and get a decision. I think Aaron gets a decision. If Aaron gets a finish here, it'd definitely be a statement. Decision is what she should do, I guess. But if she's able to finish someone like JJ Aldrich, especially with how JJ's been looking, JJ is training with Miranda Maverick. JJ is training, with, out in Syndicate. So she's training with these fighters, and, Miranda just got dominated kind of by Blanchfield. So does that help? Does that hurt here? I don't know, but I got to go with Blanchfield. The odds are way, way out. So.
Yeah, I think you're on the money, to be honest with you. I think Aldrich, the one thing that I'd just like to bring, it's not a disagreement, it's just like an addition, is that when JJ Aldrich did defend the takedowns from Jillian, she didn't punish her like for stuffing the takedowns, you know what I mean? So if she doesn't do that to Erin, I think Erin can just format her own game plan again. She strikes better than Jillian. But the chain wrestling, I think, is the key. So do I see JJ stuffing a lot of takedowns? I do. But do I see her punishing her enough to win a round? Probably not. I think the control is with Erin. And seeing as how she did beat Miranda, it is, not to overcomplicate things. I don't think JJ is amazing. I just think she has a solid base in a game plan. So I am going with Erin as well. But yeah, the odds are crazy in this. I saw the odds in the comments, and it's mad.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of what happened.
Plus 600.
I mean, we just saw, she's basically, this is just kind of what happens with MMA, women's MMA particularly. For whatever reason, these prospects get really, really highly praised. It's at nearly minus 600 right now.
That's mad.
You can get JJ Aldrich without a decision at plus 400. You might as well bet at decision at around plus 600. And I would bet the decision on both sides and call it a day. Honestly, that is probably my bet, or just leave it alone, because I think this is pretty crazy. These odds, I do not think Blanchfield should be a minus 600. No. She was a minus, I think, like 250 to open. It's more than doubled. So this is just kind of what happens here. You got to remember, MMA bettors have been off for a week. We're all kind of itching. We're like, oh, we're ready to kind of. I mean, everybody's a little bit anxious here. I think that's to be taken into consideration with this. So if you're betting Erin Blanchfield at 600, God bless you, but that's not me here. JJ Aldrich has been in there with a ton of really high level opponents, and I mean, yeah, it's again kind of crazy.
If you didn't mention the odds, I'd say this is a very close fight.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I just don't understand it being. Yeah, I don't understand minus 600. JJ's looked better. Aaron's looked great. Yes, Aaron's looked great. But Aaron beat a fellow 20-year-old or 22-year-old in, Miranda Maverick. So JJ Aldrich is not 22. JJ Aldrich is very much not 22. So just an interesting fight, and more interesting is the odds there. We'll move on to the next fight at 170. Andre Michailidis taking on the long-awaited debut here. Saw a lot of this guy's highlights and watched a lot of this guy's fights. Known as a gladiator, Renat Fakhretdinov, the Russian, 30 years old, allegedly. Who knows? Dude, again, if this guy is a couple years younger than me, so be it. But skeptical of this guy. But either way, it's been off for a couple years since knocking the dust off of Eric Swisely. It's a great highlight. It's an easy tape to watch. It's 59 seconds. It's Eric Swisely. So, yeah, he was in the UFC. Yes, he got a win over Thiago Santos. I get it. But I'll go to
KO'd by Darren Stewart as well, didn't he? So.
Right. Hey, let's not drag Darren Stewart through that. I think Darren Stewart would beat both these guys. But he's not 170 here. But Renat, he pretty much fights all his fights the same. Starts out with an inside leg kick to a left hook to a right hook, to shooting for a single, a double, doing the little trip behind the leg. He does all the same things in all his fights. They work often with the level of opponent he's faced so far. He's kind of wild with the striking. That can be for better or worse. He always is going to shoot in on a takedown eventually. And, I mean, I think that I'm just not so sold on this guy yet from what I've seen. To be honest, I get he's got this beautiful record. He's got the 20-2 record. Guy went over Alberto Huda and a few other, decent wins on the record, but nothing amazing here really to blow me away. And again, that win over Spicely, sure, it was 59 seconds and he knocked him out. The rest of these, 0-0, 0-0, 0-1, 1-2, 1-1. Lost to a 7-1 Igor Severied back in 2014.
Record, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they're 0-0, 0-0, 0-1. He doesn't look to me to be in tremendous shape cardio-wise at all. He looks like he throws everything into his shots, to which Michailidis, yes, he got knocked out in that last fight by one of the best strikers and could be fighting for a title after. If he beats John Strickland, Pereira probably in title talks, especially if Izzy kind of squawks through Cannonier, because they'll just set that up from the kickboxing. But, I mean, definitely with Michailidis, what he struggles with, it's going to sound like I'm kind of a broken record here, but he struggles with mixing up his game. He is either striking and then kind of gets tired and throws some weird strikes and gets into a bad spot, or he's grappling only and he's just grappling and he gets tired and over grapples. He's got to be able to mix it up here. And I mean, use movement. I think that it's very predictable how Renat's going to fight. He fights the same in every fight. He really does. And it seems like a style that's very effective on a regional scene and, not much higher than that. But I'm not sure where Michailidis is, in all honesty. He's not had a great run of it. He had that unfortunate fall through the cage against Bukauskas. He got, pretty clean.
He was getting messed up by that Bukauskas.
Exactly. And I mean, in his losses, he's looked pretty bad. And in all honesty, the only fight he looked good in was against KB Bueller. KB Bueller was not ready for the UFC. It was very clear. And he got a decision for that. For me, this is a you got to show me type of fight. I'm not betting on Andre Michailidis. I just don't trust him enough. But Renat at nearly minus 300, I don't trust either. He's been off for a little over a year now. I believe that Renat's been off for over a year. He definitely is a finisher. He's got good power, but most of the time he needs to kind of land a lot of strikes before putting his opponent down. He doesn't usually get that first, round KO they did against Spicely. So, but he did, he did. So fair enough. But usually needs to kind of build it a little more. Michailidis is, a pretty durable guy himself. And then Renat, again, it was actually January of 2021 when he last had that fight. So yeah, it's been a while. And not really sure why. This is also the first fight he's going to be tested by USADA. So there's always that as well. These are just unknown factors that with a minus 300 definitely doesn't make me run to the window. And I definitely can see a spot where Michailidis just kind of grits this out and gets a decision. I'm not sold on Renat. I'll take Renat as of now, but I'll take Renat by decision. I'm not super confident in him. I've seen some people crazy on this guy, and when I looked into it more, watched the fights even against this level, he hasn't blown me away.
Yeah. It's do you think though it's like with that padded record, I get he might have been only facing guys that have been put in front of him, it's those sort of things. But I don't know if Michailidis is the best opponent he's ever faced. It's definitely up there. Do you think it will bring out the best in him? Could it be one of those? I think it's showcase clear.
I do see the UFC clearly setting this up, trying to make Renat look good while still wanting to see if he's legit. Because if you beat Michailidis or embarrass him particularly, I do think you're legit. I really do. I think Bukauskas got terrible. Yeah, I think Michailidis is good. He's not great. It's like when we look at, for example, Arguda's UFC debut compared to this debut for Renat. Renat is getting an appropriate UFC debut compared to Arguda, who's getting screwed. So that's kind of what I'm saying here. Like Michailidis is like who you fight in your debut, like a guy like Michailidis. So I'm not super confident though.
There's people that are super confident on Renat though, are making me question myself because I'm the same as you. I watched him and was like, oh, he's all right. He's pretty good. Like
he's got some great. He's got that really long highlight tape on. I'll say this right now. He's got that long 11, 12-minute highlight tape on YouTube that's titled like Dana White's new favorite Russian. That affects lines because people go to YouTube, they see that right away, and they just watch a highlight tape. And they forget that highlight tape is just all the good moments. Right.
Absolutely. I try and stay away from highlights. But yeah.
Yeah, they don't help you. You need to watch full fight tape. Or highlight tapes almost are as useful as just doing a Tapology page.
I think based on seeing both of them, I don't know what Michailidis can offer that Renat might have not seen. Grappling aspect, you know, that's the only thing Michailidis is I can see him bring him to the table. But again, I think Renat will be fine.
Okay. Yeah, so Michailidis plus 220. Yeah, minus 285. Renat's been off for over a year. I'm curious to see him in his U.S. debut. I'm curious to see how he makes the weight cut. He doesn't look like he takes his cardio super serious either. And again, Michailidis, he's been over in the States for a while now. He's over at MMA Masters, so he's definitely training with good guys, things like that. So just things to consider there. We'll move on to the next fight here. But hopefully that's a good fight. I'm not sure if it will be or not. We'll have to see. But, you know, some people really like Renat. And this next fight, I think this next fight is going to be a really good fight at 125 between Jeff Molina and Zhalgas Zamagulov. Thomas the Train Engine, I call him, because that's what he looks like. But this should be a really good fight. Very interested to see which one of these guys is able to kind of take the center. Honestly, these guys look like they could be related to each other. I'll be honest. Like, they don't look alike, but they look like they could, they could be, share a bloodline. But Zhalgas, Kazakhstan, 33, nearly 34 years old now, 14-6. Really good record before the UFC with wins over guys like Tyson Nam and others. Just came into the UFC's kind of had a little bit of a rough go of it so far. Allegedly lost that Julian Paiva fight. I don't think he lost that fight personally. I think he kind of got a little screwed, but it definitely was a close fight. Got that power guillotine finish of Jerome Rivera, who, if you've listened to any of my breakdowns, you know how I rate Jerome Rivera. I don't. One of the worst guys to be signed in the UFC in the last couple of years. So, I mean, he got the finish, but okay. Got kind of pieced up by Amir Albazi, which Amir's, good, but kind of got out of class. And then Manal Kopp. That fight was rough for him. Dropped early and then finished at the end of the first round. It was kind of like from Game of Thrones, the prince who was promised term. It's finally the cop we were promised. Finally showed up and didn't even need wrestling shoes on to do it. So, but it was a while ago, but definitely not a great look for Zhalgas coming into that fight. You just saw that Zhalgas is really good fighting on his front foot, but he cannot fight going backwards or on his back foot. And with Jeff Molina, he can fight a little bit on his back foot. He had that great fight with Archie Lang. I was there live to open up the Jacksonville card. It was great to watch. I do think that the key for this fight is going to have to be Molina's takedown defense, because I think Zhalgas is going to be powering through for some takedowns in this fight. I don't think he's just going to look to stand, even though he's a pretty predominant stand-up fighter. I think he knows he has to mix it up here. What I like on Molina, leg kicks. He needs to use those to keep the distance. I think he does. I think that Zhalgas has a real hard time covering the distance and outmaneuvering Molina throughout this fight. I love Molina here, man. I'm seeing some people. I saw somebody who said Molina was their. I don't see any confidence. Maybe Molina. I don't know if Justin means he's not confident in anybody but Molina, but if that's what he's saying, I agree with you, Justin. I'm very confident in Molina here. I think Molina. We kind of talk about this in some fights, the trajectory and kind of where fighters are going. And Molina's got to get hit for a minute before his motor kicks in. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think Zhalgas will oblige, but I think that Molina settles into his fight more as it goes, while Zhalgas kind of slows down as the fight goes more. So I do think early on Zhalgas can surprise him, get an early finish of some sort. But I think as the fight goes, Molina's going to get more and more comfortable. Maybe it's a spot where you look to live bet Molina if you think Zhalgas takes round 1, but I like Molina here. I just think he has a better diversity of movement, range, striking, and I don't think Zhalgas has the takedowns needed to exploit this matchup. So I like Jeff Molina. I think he really builds off that last performance. Glory MMA, they're going to have a good game plan. James Krause, everybody there. Give me Jeff Molina minus 180. I love the price. Plus 150 on Zhalgas. Good luck if you're going to Zhalgas. I got Molina.
Yeah. One thing you do see from Zhalgas as well, when he steps in, leaves his leg dangling.
Yeah, and Molina lands 30 plus leg kicks a fight.
Yeah, and especially the inside leg as well. Inside leg, switch round, hit the body, and then over the top with the right hook, and it's beautiful. I think if Zhalgas doesn't do something about that early, he's going to come forward. So I don't think Jeff's going to need much of a wake up call for this one. I think he looks more improved every time, and his 2 wins in the UFC are brilliant.
Still only 26 years old.
They're really good. To get actually laying in your debut is quite difficult. So I think he did very good to, control that fight and get the decision. But yeah, I think Zhalgas is in for a rough time unless he kind of steps steady on the volume, doesn't explode himself. Because after about 6-7 minutes, you see the decline, whereas Jeff's kind of got a steady pace, and then it maybe goes up a smidge later on in the fight, which is where he can kind of control it. So yeah, I agree with you. If he controls the range with those leg kicks, and then, as I say, does that little combo when he steps off to the side afterwards, plus everything else he does.
Right.
I don't see him really having much trouble. If he gets his head in a guillotine, no, I'm not. I think I'll live bet Zhalgas.
Yeah. I mean, if your game plan isn't to control the range with Zhalgas Zamagulov, I mean, look at his arms. They are tiny. Like, he needs to get inside here. And, so it's where for Molina, if those leg kicks aren't active, I mean, Zhalgas isn't the type where he's going to catch the, leg kick and be able to chain that to a takedown either. So I really think Molina is going to be able to be pretty free with his movement. But
Zhalgas has never shown that he can deal with a leg kick effectively anyway in all his fights. He always gets tagged with them. It's one thing I said about Vince Morales in one of the fights.
And just one more caveat, people who are on Zhalgas, I'm sure will bring up Zhalgas does have the better kind of level of competition he's faced. So I will say that for Zhalgas, he's got, wins over guys like Tyson Nam on the outside scene, Ali Bagotinov. So he definitely has been well tested here, and Molina is definitely beginning that, the Zhalgas is close, if not probably the best guy he's faced by a pretty hefty margin. So that's the other thing to take into account here. It's I do think
do you rate Tyson Nam quite highly?
I rate him. I rate him high. I rate that run
has he
there
beaten
for
anyone
Zhalgas.
high level.
Ali Bagotinov, I rate highly.
Okay.
Ali Bagotinov, I rate very highly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You can give.
He's pretty good.
That was about 6 years ago as well.
It was when Ali was really good. He was probably juicing at that point. So
I'm just thinking post Zhalgas, I don't think he's actually got a decent.
Yeah, honestly, but my point is I haven't seen that Zhalgas in the UFC either. So
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Even so, it's like what was Zhalgas on at the time too. It's like there's not.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying there's a lot of cheating. By the way, Molina's 24, not 26. My mistake. 24 years old. This guy's got a real future. I'm really excited to see what he does.
And he's on an 8-fight win streak as well, isn't he? Something like that.
He lost a couple very early on and then picked up from there. So I'm looking forward to that fight. It's one of my fights of the night, honestly. Moving on to the next fight. This is a really intriguing fight that I've been excited to hear your thoughts on. I think this is going to be a really interesting, high-intensity grappling, scrambling type of fight here. And it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be Tony Gravely, takedown city all day, and just Munoz, just that jiu-jitsu is not enough for that wrestling. Or do we have the Tony Gravely we've seen time and time again, who wrestles one too many times, puts himself in a position where he gets submitted? Munoz is a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner. World-class. His striking, horrible. Really bad. Last fight for Munoz, that first round, was one of the worst first rounds of striking I've seen in a very long time.
Was that
the positive is,
Simmons, you say?
Yes, against Jamie Simmons.
Jamie
So a guy
Simmons.
you can get away with that for a round against.
Yeah.
The positive is he eventually got it down, got the back, hand fought him for, it felt like a round and a half, and finally got it finished. Here's the thing. Tony Gravely, a really good grappler until he's not. Really good wrestler and all these things. Really good cardio till it isn't there. All these things are great. It's just, for me, this is probably my least technical breakdown of the day here. But just got a feeling Munoz is going to find a way to get Gravely submitted. He's just going to find – he is that good of a grappler, and Gravely is going to be too willing to take it over and over again to that spot. What Gravely should do is not even attempt the takedown. He should not. He should go in there, box Munoz's face in, move around him, just outmaneuver him on the feet, and not even worry about wrestling. But he's going to get comfortable with the wrestling. He's going to get takedowns with ease very early, and he's going to keep going to the takedowns. He's going to make a mistake, and Munoz is going to submit him. Munoz might be losing 2 rounds. He might be losing 3 rounds. I don't know. For me, I am taking a shot on Johnny Munoz getting a submission at some point in the fight. I just see it happening. That's all.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm crazy. I get it.
I don't think you're crazy, but I'm on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, I understand.
I think Johnny's so one-dimensional. I mean, think of the people that Gravely has lost to, and this is the bit that worries me. Manes, okay, he's shown he's decent. Brett Johns is a wizard on the mat. Then you got Patchy Mix he lost to, Bermudez Triangle, Marab, all grapplers to a point, you know? Like, Patchy can do it all, but I think he lost by guillotine in that fight. I need to check that. But that's the bit that worries me. But Tony Gravely is way better. That's the basic. I'm like, okay, Tony Gravely is way better. He's fought better people. He's got an unbelievable amount of experience. He's got heavy hands. He doesn't mix it up crazy well, but when he wrestles, he dominates. You think of that, his last fight. I know it's against Oliveira, but he dominated, and it was brilliant.
Yes, I could see him getting
dominate. He just catches.
I could see him getting a 30-26 in this fight. I really could.
Exactly.
I really could.
If there's a finish,
it's going to be Munoz by submission.
Yes,
it's going to be Munoz by submission. A heel hook. I could see. I could see so many different submissions here, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see, you could easily see a Guida Puelles kind of style. Rolling in a scramble, catching a heel, done.
Yep, and then just being like, I made the same mistake I made 6 other times. He's been submitted 6 other times.
I know.
Munoz is a better jiu-jitsu guy than a lot of guys who've subbed him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'd put him on par with Brett Johns to me.
Yes. Yeah. But his stand-up is so bad.
But I'm still going Tony Gravely.
Yeah.
I'm still going Tony.
Yeah,
I think he's a safer pick. I think if you're a decision better, I think Tony Gravely is the pick. I don't think Johnny can win via decision.
Yeah, this is exactly the issue. Gravely is a Jekyll and Hyde.
He really is.
It's like it was all good till it wasn't. Like it is all good till it's not. And it's just like it. I mean, I hate being the guy on YouTube saying I have a feeling that's why I'm picking this underdog. But so all the technicalities.
What's happened in the past. You only can comment on what's happened in the past, and what's happened in the past is Tony Gravely has been submitted when he gets a little bit too big for his boots. Yeah,
and he's going to keep going there. He's going to keep going there when he should just stand. Yeah, Justin Gravely, the dealer showing a 10, but Munoz is an ace. Do you gamble and double, and maybe the dealer got nothing? Yeah, exactly. So I'm always going to be doubling with my ace. We're doubling down here. I'm going submission by Munoz. Munoz is my first official underdog of the night at plus 110, minus 135 on Gravely. The odds also, this is hilarious because if you bet Gravely and you're right, you might be getting like a 30-26 type of but yeah, if a fighter has serious cardio and is a dog, Gravely will wilt. I don't know if Munoz has serious cardio or not. That's another. And we all have a parlay that's been cost by Tony Gravely. With that, this is the thing. We all have probably that same one. So yeah, and then it is a coin flip of a fight. Hardly, let's be honest, hardly a dog. Okay, thanks Kelly for ruining my fun here. Yeah,
I will just say one thing about Johnny Munoz though. If he doesn't sort his striking out, he's going to get fucking wrecked in his.
Yeah, his striking that last fight was some of the. If you don't even have to watch the full fight, just watch the first round of Jamie Simmons and Munoz, and you're probably not going to be crazy about
Jamie Simmons turns into like Rico Van
Bruce
Hoover.
Lee or something. He's just like. Like Munoz was just like throwing this like weird jab that wasn't anywhere near anything. He was missing air. That's how inaccurate.
I'm pretty sure he punched like with a hammer fist as he's striking.
Yeah, it was really bad. So,
but his jiu-jitsu is not good enough to carry him to a title. Like, it's
no, but it is good enough to submit Tony Gravely, I think. But if Gravely's smart, if Gravely doesn't attempt the takedown this fight, I would be proud of him. I'd be like, good. Like, why
would
you?
Himself, can he? Can't help himself.
Yeah, why would you? Like, you just 0 takedowns. You don't need to do it.
Making me want to pick Munoz.
Yeah, well, I got Munoz, so you got the smart pick.
I'll stick with my gut. Yeah, yep. I think the safety net. It's not.
It is a safe pick. Next fight, Benoit Saint Denis taking on Nicholas Stoltz, and this fight is at 155.
Yeah.
So good luck, Nicholas, cutting down to 155. Benoit, thank God you're at 155 because you're not a 170er. I get he was like a 165 champion in Europe, but he's not a 170-pound fighter in the UFC. Commend you for winning a round after getting your life beaten out of you, Benoit Saint Denis. Elijah Zaleski dos Santos finished you like 6 times in the first 2 rounds of that fight, and the referee decided not to stop it. So you were able to win the 3rd round because Zaleski literally threw every single strike he had in him, and the fight should have been stopped. I think I counted 5 times, different times, and they decided not to. And then Benoit did win the 3rd round, so that now we can be like, wow, Benoit won a round in his UFC debut. We don't need to talk about the others.
Do you remember the ref got sacked?
Valesky or whatever? Like, wasn't he like a Russian guy?
Kilesev. Yeah.
Valesky, kill yourself. He was
sacked.
terrible.
After that fight, you're out, done.
Yeah.
Herb Dean took over.
Yeah, and it's just like, So, I mean, that is the worry. It was like 7-8 months ago now, so he's had enough time off to probably recover.
He nearly died.
Yeah, he nearly was killed, though. And that's the thing. So, moving forward, I might keep bringing up that fight after this fight. Against Nicholas Stoltz, I don't think that fight really, is a factor, though, because Nicholas Stoltz isn't what I would describe as a really dangerous kind of striker. He's tricky. He's crafty. He throws, like a lot of kicks and whatnot. But, yeah. I just don't think Nicholas Stoltz is very good. He got absolutely obliterated in his last fight. Now he's cutting down to 155. And
I would put him on that good level.
Yeah,
like UFC level.
What would you say? What would you say he's an expert in, or like
nothing
proficient?
I would say he's a good all rounder, but nothing great.
Yeah,
I'd say he's got good movement and good counter striking, but on the offense, he gets caught.
Yeah. For me, Benoit Saint Denis, he's definitely a specialist. He's a grappler. He's very, very good in that range.
When he can throw on the feet, though, can't he? And he's tough as shit.
Yeah, but and he's got he's definitely tough. But yeah, I just think that with his fighting style, I don't think like you have to worry about Nicholas Stoltz taking advantage of the beating he took in his last fight. I do think that he's I think Benoit's going to be sticky and kind of making this a really dirty, grappling, heavy type of fight. I think he's better off with the weight cut than Nicholas Stoltz. I mean, I hate that Chris Moutinho tough theory. Oh no, I don't think that Benoit is going to just be built off his toughness for his whole career. That's
the toughness is a factor for the point of he will never stop doing his game plan. He will continue to push matter what. Not he's just a survivor. Nothing like that. It's if Nicholas does like pile on pressure and he's successful for 3 or 4 minutes. That second round, it doesn't matter if you were successful for 3 or 4 minutes and you beat the shit out of him. He's still going to do the same game plan. He's still going to press into your face. He's still going to try and get you to the ground no matter what. He will win. He will die or win. It's that kind of mentality, which is, I don't know. It might be championship. It might be ignorant. It's one or the
Yeah.
other.
And so, yeah, I mean, Saint Denis, he's got a championship at 165 outside of the UFC. I think he is more of a 155er than definitely a 170er.
He's a tweener,
Nicholas
isn't he?
Stoltz, I'm curious how he's going to make the weight cut down to 155.
I hope he makes weight. I hope he makes weight.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, you know, I think he's got a better chance if he doesn't make weight, frankly. You know, but you know, he's working with John Wood. He's been over at Syndicate for a while now. He's definitely the longer, lengthier of the two guys here. Again, Jared Gooden, not Jared Gordon. Jared Gooden, absolutely.
I said Gordon on my video and had to put an asterisk on it.
Yeah, absolutely starched him. You know, and yeah, it's just, you know, with Benoit Saint Denis, I just think he's the much higher level practitioner just overall. So for me, I am going to take him in this spot. I think that most likely he wears it down and gets a submission. I could see him grinding out a decision too. At minus 150, I really like this price on Saint Denis as well. I just don't rate Stoltz very highly, and I think this is a good opportunity for Saint Denis to bounce back and not take another beating.
I think there's plenty of guys in LFA, Brave, and Cage Warriors that would beat up Nicholas Stoltz, to be honest. I don't think he's UFC level, but doesn't mean he can't win the fight still. You know, there's still tactics to beating someone like Benoit, but he's only been beaten once. He's got a very proven track record as well, from his debut all the way up. You know, he's had tough fights. It's been like he's not got the 20-2 Russian record, you know, of Rinat from earlier. He's got a legit 8-1 record. Those 8 wins are tough wins.
Yeah. Mario Said's a really good win. Luan Santiago was
brilliant. Yeah. And then you start to find someone like Ivica Trusek, and it's like it's a mess. It's like,
and you're not seeing the same finishes here. You're seeing arm bars, guillotines, arm triangles, knee bars.
He's a finisher, man. Yeah, he is.
You're seeing a variety.
But yeah, I think this will bring out the best. I think fighting Zaleski in his opening is
on short notice.
On short notice, yeah, that was a rough ride, but I think you'll see the best out of Benoit in this one. I hope so. I hope he's recovered. Yeah. He's taken enough time off to recover, it seems.
Yeah, I think you're getting a steal here on Saint Denis. The more I think about it, the more I think a lot of bettors are just thinking about how beat up Saint Denis got and not thinking about the situation that fight was taken on, and the fact that Zaleski Dos Santos, I'll say it right now, is one of the best 170ers that no one talks about in the world. He still is. I don't know how that guy's
that one move, the one knee. You know, remember the knee in the second round. If I don't think Nicholas Stoltz has that kind of power or technical ability to telegraph when that takedown is happening, I think Dos Santos does. So
it's just I agree. I like Saint Denis. Saint Denis is one of my. I like Saint Denis and I like Molina early on. Those two together, I like those two quite a bit. So. We'll move on to the next fight here, but I think this is a good opportunity for Benoit to have a legit UFC debut and, you know, kind of reset people's kind of expectations of him a little bit. So we'll move on here. We're on to the 6th fight here, and I already told everybody about what I thought about this fight. I'm not going to make this one too long of a breakdown. Because Damon Jackson, he is my most confident pick of the weekend. I will say that of any fight on the weekend. Damon Jackson is my guy. He was supposed to fight Derek Minner. Damon Jackson was my most confident pick on the weekend at that point as well. Now he's got another win here against a bantamweight wrestler in Dan Arguda, who had, you know, not a great performance at all in his LFA win. Lost the first 2 rounds of that fight, actually. So if it was a 3-round fight, he would have lost it there also against a much lower level of opponent at 135. This is now at 145. I mean, and if he can't just get Damon Jackson out and lay on him, what is he going to do to Damon Jackson? Damon Jackson's going to tear him up on the feet. I do think on the ground he can submit him from the bottom, even if he gets taken down, or sweep him and get him to the top. I think Damon Jackson's just better unless Arguda has a super powerful wrestling game that's just relentless and he cannot escape the blanket that is Dan Arguda. Everywhere else, Damon Jackson wins the fight. My favorite, my number one, he's in all my parlays for most of the weekend. I get he's minus 525, but he should be. Damon Jackson wins this fight.
Can't add much to that, mate. He's got my star on my notepad.
He's top of the parlay piece.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's just gonna wipe the floor with him, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, Damon Jackson minus 525. Are you sure? Yeah, I mean,
okay. What would you do if Misard Bektic here was against Daniel? You know, Damon choked out Misard Bektic. Like, I'm just doing that in my head. I'm like, he beats Charles Rosen at Kirk. Like, these people, I think, all beat Daniel. So yeah, Damon will finish him as well, I think.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's kind of cool to see this like run by Damon Jackson. Who like maybe is the most underappreciated 20-4 fighter of all time. Like, it's crazy.
There's a few in there.
He's really good. He's really good, and I don't think people realize it. He was an underdog against Camuela Kirk in his last fight.
Yeah, I don't get that. We make money off that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, underdog against Camuela Kirk. Like, we don't get the lucky here. Minus 525. Still is going to help some of those 4 or 5 piece parlays. So go ahead and put it in there. Respect Arguda for getting into the UFC, but he'll be cutting back down to 135 after this fight. So yeah, not much more needs to be said about that fight. We'll move on to the next fight here. This is an interesting one, but one that I'm looking forward to. I'm honestly looking forward to most of the fights on this card. Joe Solecki taking on the former Uber prospect and Alex Da Silva. Remember when he came into UFC and he was just like Uber hyped and just like was allegedly this jiu-jitsu guy who could strike, but he had this really good jiu-jitsu and super athletic and all that. And I haven't been super blown away by what I've seen so far of Alex Da Silva, if I'm being honest here. And then Joe Solecki, we know what Joe Solecki does. He's going to go in there, try to grind, grapple, and then grapple some more. And he's done it against guys like Jim Miller before, and then he's had some trouble in other spots. 5'8", 73-inch reach for the Brazilian Alex Da Silva Leco here. Fighting an Astra Fight Team. Very athletic, very, always, shows up in good shape. Just honestly, so far in the UFC's had a little bit of kind of trouble showing off his full game plan here. I mean, I don't exactly know what it is at this point. It looks like it's been a little bit of a padded record at 21-3, if I'm being honest. He's still very young. He's only 26 years old. So there's definitely still time here. But I just think overall that this matchup with Joe Solecki is going to be a tough one for him, because what Joe Solecki does is Joe Solecki grabs onto you, holds on to you, and looks to, just kind of grind away at you, wear you down. He can do it all. He can do it for a long time. His cardio is very impressive to me. In one of his stronger suits. Alex Da Silva's been off since September of 2020, where he, lost. He had a decent first round against Brad Riddell, but just kind of got worse as the fight went. Yakovlev gassed him out and choked him out in round 2. That was not a good look. His only win being against Rodrigo Vargas, who I don't rate Vargas very highly, and nor should anybody. Honestly, for me in this fight, I just think Joe Solecki makes it ugly. It doesn't give Da Silva a lot of room. Da Silva does gas as fights go on. I think Solecki will just kind of keep a consistent pace and out-grapple him for 3 rounds, get the decision. This is another one to me that I don't think you need to overthink too much. I think Solecki goes in there, doesn't look to mix up with the stand-up, ground and pound, keep position, and ride out a decision. I just think Solecki is better here. You see him in a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. It's definitely the focus of him. Training at Gymmo, a grappling heavy gym, against a guy like Da Silva who wants to be loose. He wants to be able to throw his Muay Thai, use his athleticism. Solecki's just going to wear him down.
Yeah, and he's not only grappling; he's grappling at much higher weight classes than he competes in MMA.
Right.
I remember watching him grapple Gregory Rodriguez.
Exactly.
And Gregory was like coming in, like 195, I think.
200 pounds.
He was massive, absolutely massive. And Joe Solecki got a draw with him.
Yep.
And was better in that fight, to be honest. But yeah, I agree with you. I think this is going to go decision, though. I don't think it's going to be a fun fight to watch. I think it's going to be quite drowsy in the sense of no one's. It's going to be quite stalemating. You know, when one
If
person,
it's stale, Selecki's definitely winning.
yeah, and that's what I think the game plan will be. We just make sure Alex can't get anything firing off. You know, it's what I can't even say his name. Yakovlev, was it?
Yakovlev.
It's what. Let's go with that. It's what he kind of did, and until he kind of pressured him into chasing him, and that's when he caught him. You know, it's those sort of moments where I think Joe Selecki could easily do something like that and just control him, win via control, basically. And I think that is the best path to victory, and it's the safest way because I'm pretty sure I heard him say he wants to keep the ball rolling and get a couple more fights by the end of the year. So it's a good matchup for him. It's a good scout.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for him, and I love the price -175. It's beautiful. Bet that's straight up. You can put in a couple 2 or 3 piece parlays, and you're off to the races. +140 on De Silva. I'm surprised it's that close. Honestly, I mean, what Joe Selecki was able to do to Jim Miller and just completely neutralize him into grappling the way he did is nothing to be taken lightly of. And I just think that he can do that to De Silva. So, yeah, I like that spot for Mr. Selecki.
Do you want to tell me why this next fight is above like Benoit Saint?
This is the featured prelim
and Damon
of
Jackson.
the night here at 150. At 115, the featured prelim. Felice Herrig makes her long-awaited return for the rematch we've all been waiting for. Karolina Kowalkiewicz 2.
Blanchfield Aldrich is better than this fight.
Yeah, every fight on the card is better than this fight.
Yes,
I'm not clicking on either one of these Tapology pages.
No, you don't need to.
Felice Herrig lost the first time. Karolina Kowalkiewicz had like a good Muay Thai kind of attack, threw some good, knees, elbows, and whatnot, good movement. Felice Herrig, I think, still wants to be a fighter a little bit. I don't think Karolina Kowalkiewicz wants to at all. My pick is going to be Felice Herrig because she's still a semblance of a fighter. I think Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a complete head case at this point. So I'll take Felice Herrig by decision.
Yeah, I mean, I literally have no idea.
Yeah, that's my pick.
Carolina's lost 5 in a row, and Felice doesn't fight.
Right.
So,
but like Carolina's been talking about retiring for like 10 years.
Yeah, Felice is how old now? She must be pushing 40, like 37, 38.
Yeah.
Carolina's probably similar. She just got a boob job, so
no, she allegedly just gained a lot of weight. That's why she had such big boobs.
No.
Allegedly, she gained so much weight.
Allegedly, she has silicone in there.
Yeah. So she gained weight with plastic. But either way.
But either way,
I'll take Felice Herrig.
I'll go Carolina just to be different. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the steak fight, isn't it?
Yeah, that I can hear it sizzling right here. And I love a steak fight right on the prelims. It's right around dinner time. Perfect. So we're going to move on. That is
dinner time for you.
Yeah, well, whatever. I just think about the Americans. Hey, you know what? It can be dinner time if you make, if you're willing to, believe anything's possible. But yeah, that's going to be our breakdown. Felice Herrig, Karolina Kowalkiewicz too. Sorry if you need a longer breakdown.
Breakdown, guys.
Yeah, that's about as technical as we can get here. You're welcome. We're on to the main card now. That was a 2-minute breakdown of that fight exactly. And so next fight, Alonzo Menafield versus Askar Mazarov. First of all, Askar Mazarov, trying to figure out your record is very difficult. It's either 21-6, 22-8, 21-11, or 22-10. It can be any of those. So whichever one you'd like. That lets you know the level of opponent Askar is facing, though. He's fought anywhere from welterweight to middleweight to light heavyweight. I think he fought at heavyweight a while. He's fought in bare knuckle fighting in his last fight against a guy who was 5-16 in MMA. And now he's fighting Alonzo Menafield here at 205 pounds. He throws tons of crazy spinning stuff. He's been off for several years. I think that we're in a spot here where Alonzo Menafield, he looks really good against this level of competition. He looks very good. This is not a UFC level of competition here from what he has done so far. He throws some flashy strikes, but that's about it. They aren't very technical. He has been at Tiger Muay Thai and many other good camps, so I'll give him that. Definitely a positive there, but pretty one-dimensional. Alonzo Menafield does gas, but he also does wrestle when he needs to. I think that he kind of makes this look similar to like a Fabio Charant type of fight where he's just facing a guy who isn't UFC level. And he finishes guys who aren't UFC level. So Menifield probably gets a knockout, probably by ground and pound in this fight. Give me Alonzo Menifield. He's faced a much better level of competition. He's not been doing BKFC. You can confirm his record. The level of competition he's been facing is much more legit. I think if one of these guys is going to mix it up, it would be Menifield here. Menifield has shown he's more willing to wrestle at points, which has been actually nice to see. He's gone to a decision before. I think he is figuring out the gas more and more. I mean, Menifield wins. He finishes this fight. I think
so. I think so.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of Askar, it's
just
he
not
destroys
impressive.
people that don't look like they can fight, and it's not
the last fight he was in 2020. Go back and watch it against Evgeny Golub or whatever, Galbu. That was a dive. It was a 30-second fight. It was a dive.
It was, yeah.
So it's like his fight in the UFC was a dive and then a BKFC fight.
Yeah, I mean, look who they paired him against. They wanted to fight him, put him against Dustin Jacoby and Ben Rothwell. Can you imagine what they would do to him?
Exactly.
Could you imagine?
Menifield's going to do the same thing.
I don't trust Menifield. Okay. That's my problem with this fight.
Yeah.
I'm staying way away from any Alonzo Menifield fight ever. After he lost to William Knight,
Fair.
And when Vincent St. Preux knocks you out like that,
Fabio Charant. I was on the Vincent St. Preux one. I was on that.
Okay.
So.
Nah.
He knocked out Paul Craig.
When Paul Craig thought he was a striker, he did, yeah.
Right. Askar's probably going to throw the same spinning kick that Paul Craig threw. Menifield knows how to counter
better
that.
at striking than Paul Craig. I just don't trust him. But yeah, if you got a pick, it's definitely Alonzo. But I'm never betting on this fight for me personally.
Yeah, Menifield minus 165, dude. Plus 130 on
okay,
Askar
it might be worth it. It might be worth it with that.
That's crazy. I can't believe the odds are so close.
People are just going to see a Ukrainian flag and a guy that looks like a hitman.
Yeah, if he's got Ukrainian flag and he's crying after the fight, the judges will give it to him no matter what. That's what happened in the PFL a few weeks ago.
And Eurovision Song Contest. Don't forget that. Because you all know.
All right. Well, I trust Menifield a little more here. I do think that this is the type of opponent where Menifield looks like he's legit. He beats guys who don't belong in the UFC, and I would say Mazarov doesn't belong in the UFC.
No, he doesn't belong in the UFC. I agree with that.
And I would say Menifield does. So it's like this is...
Yeah, he's the entry level, isn't he?
Right, exactly.
He's too good for regional.
Yeah, look what he did to Fabio Charant in that fight, for example, where he took him down and got the Von Flue. He just beats guys he's supposed to beat, and occasionally will beat a guy he's not supposed to beat. But yeah, I like this spot for Menifield, but I can understand not trusting him too. Next fight here, 125. This is an interesting fight. Ode Osborne versus Zaruk Adashov. Sorry, I was adding an extra AH there. But at 125, I think it's a really good fight. Very, very interesting fight. My first kind of question is how Ode Osborne makes 125. How he's going to look at 125, how his performance is going to be. I don't love it. I don't love it at all, honestly. I think it's a bad move. I think he's way too big for the weight class. I think he suffers in his performances. He had that good performance against Vergara until it wasn't good, and I think a lot of that had to do with the weight cut. And
what about the cup?
What's that?
What about to Manel Cup as well? Because he made flyweight for that, didn't he?
Yeah, but Kopp didn't. Kopp missed by.
That's right. So he stopped. Yeah, that's right.
Kopp missed by 5 pounds. Kopp made 130. So it's again, but I just think this is such a 50-50 fight. This fight, honestly, because Ode, yes, he has a reach advantage, but it's only an advantage if he uses it. Zaruk Adashev is going to close the distance. He knows he has to close the distance. He's going to be using a lot of volume. He's a blitzing kind of striker. I can really see him catching Ode pretty regularly on the way in here and having some success on the feet throughout the fight and having the advantage in the gas tank, having the advantage in the speed, having the advantage in the technical striking. If this was at 135, Ode Osborne is my lean. this being at 125 is, I think, a pretty big factor, though. I think that it would not surprise me if Adeshev knocked out Ode Osborne in this fight. I do not think he has to either to win the fight. For me, this is my second dog of the night that I'm feeling confident in. For a few, or not feeling confident, that I'm leaning in, and I'm picking Adeshev here. I do not believe that either one of these fighters should be a huge favorite. I think this is an incredibly closely aligned fight. I think it's very 50-50. I think Adeshev has a big advantage in volume, big advantage, in, I think, looking like he's winning a fight. I do think this fight goes the distance. And I don't understand why Ode Osborne's a minus 190 favorite. I think that's just kind of crazy to me. With Adeshev, I do think he's we're still figuring out exactly how good he is, but I think he's started to really show some good promise here. He's still very young in his career at 4-3. So it's like those are the questions here. Ode Osborne, 10-4. He's going to have the advantage in MMA. But again, this is a brutal weight cut for him. And I think at times the weaknesses of Ode Osborne play kind of into the strengths of Zaruk here. So I'm going to take Zaruk here. I think that the Suman fight, he learned a lot from that fight. And how to kind of deal with a longer rangier striker. And Suman is a much better striker and just a better fighter than Ode Osborne, in my opinion. So I think he showed those improvements against Benoit. I'm going to take Adeshev as my second dog of the night at plus 155 by decision, but I could see a finish, honestly. I wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, this is a close one for me.
Close.
Because I haven't seen all of Zaruk's fight. It's I saw two of the Bellator ones when they came out. Was it Tevin Dice was one of them, and I think I saw his debut against Medina when he was 0-1. But and then obviously against all the UFC opponents. So it's just super tricky because Ode's so unpredictable. He's so inconsistent.
Right.
What he does.
He's inconsistent, not unpredictable.
Well, it's not. Well, yeah, unpredictable of what he's going to show up like.
Yeah, which Ode's going to show up.
In the cage, he doesn't look like he's evolving, which is a bit worrying being at Syndicate when you've got, like, John Wood's a good coach, but I'm wondering, like, what he's actually training like.
He's still a full-time teacher also.
Yeah, so I actually like your bet there, to be honest with you. I like Zaruk in this. I think off the angles, he's technically far superior from what I have seen.
Yeah, and he's got a ton of experience in kickboxing. He may only be 4-3. And
that's why he's being paired match made. With such high levels so early on. I just don't like Ode over 3 rounds. I think he's going to deteriorate significantly. I don't think his gas tank is that great. So yeah, I like this bet. I'm happy to go against Ode as well.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he's such a heavy favorite here. I get it. CJ just, kind of shocked the world in his last fight, but that was a really close fight too. CJ was taken over at the end of that fight. And if he would have stepped on the gas a little sooner, he would have beat Ode. And that was Vergara's UFC debut at Madison Square Garden. So these are kind of things to take into account. Should be a good one though at 125. Definitely an important one for both guys. If Ode loses this, there's no way he's fighting at 125 ever again, I would hope, no matter how he loses it. So this card is so weird because we got another weird stake fight here right in the middle of the main card. Poliana Bontello versus Karine Silva here at, like, what are we doing? Why?
Yeah, I know.
Why is this even on a UFC
Why is Damon
card?
Jackson not put there?
Yeah, this is at 125. Why is JJ Aldrich and Aaron Blanchfield not put here? Why isn't this opening up the card at 125? Poliana Bontello, not super impressed by her, I'll be honest. Takedown defense not great. Her striking's okay. She's got a good body kick for sure. We've seen it work. Her striking overall, I don't think has a ton of power after the first couple minutes, especially. A somewhat technical Muay Thai striker. That's about it. Karine Silva, very, very physical. Going to look to push this against the cage. Going to look to move this to the ground. I think she's able to do that. Poliana shows she really struggles against grapplers. All of her losses pretty much come to grappling types. Karine Silva is a grappling type. That's as far as I'm looking into this fight. Give me Karine Silva.
Yeah, I'm with you, to be honest with you, mate. I think the Luana Carolina fight was like not a split decision. I thought Carolina won that quite clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, she doesn't really know how to get an underhook. She doesn't know how to push off the cage. Doesn't know how to hip heist out of a problem when she's hit the ground. So,
Yeah. And
the
Green's physical. Green's very physical.
Green is a beast.
Yeah.
Like,
I
she's
love
an
this
absolute
spot for
beast.
Green. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm confused why Green's only minus 125.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, but she's training with Bontarin. That's her training partner.
Right.
So when you got Bontarin, knows how to backpack.
Just
someone
bet
or
Green
something.
straight up. You don't need to marry her to a bunch of parlays here, but minus 125. Go ahead. You can bet her straight up. I think she gets a decision win too.
I reckon finish.
Okay, either way. Green, you don't even have to bet the method.
Let's hope she finishes it, because then we might talk about her longer next time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just one of these fights for me. Karine, 14-4. She's got more fights. She's very physical. She was on the Contender Series. She looked good enough on the Contender Series. She's not flashy, but she's very strong and physical, and takes the fight to where she wants it, which is on the floor or against the cage with her on top or against you. So I think Polyana's shown on multiple occasions she has trouble keeping the fight from getting there. So go ahead and give me Karine Silva here. Moving on, we'll move on to the next fight now. This is a good fight. Mike Trizano, a guy who I've had some issues having some reads on at times, taking on Lucas Almeida here. This should be an interesting one at featherweight here. Lucas Almeida had his issue on the Contender Series, came up short there, and ended up getting a win to earn a invite here. Mike Trizano, former Ultimate Fighter winner, so we got 9-2 versus 13-1. Lucas Almeida is the older guy at 31, nearly 31 and a half years old. Honestly, he did not look very good against Zulhubar on the Contender Series. Looked pretty physically outmatched in that spot. I wasn't too impressed. I'm kind of surprised he only needed one fight to earn his invite back to the UFC here. And it was a win over a guy in Italo Trinade with jungle fights, quick guillotine finish. You see a lot of finishes, some KOs, and as well as some submissions. But I don't really rate the level of competition he's faced too highly here. And when he did take that step up against 11-0 Zulhubar out of LXF fighting, he just looked really outmatched in that spot there. And Trizano is legit. He's very, very legit, very well-rounded. He's a good karate-style fighter, has good wrestling. He's very physical for the weight class as well. At 9-2, he does have less fights, but the level of competition he's faced is much better than his opponent. Coming off of that loss to Hakeem Dawodu, it was a competitive fight, but Dawodu really did put on one of the best performances of his career. Other loss coming to Grant Dawson. What he did to Ludovic Klein, I really do think could be a kind of similar type of spot. He's really one of the biggest strengths of Trizano, I'd say, is his ability to take away the strengths of his opponents. He did it against Pena. That was not a split. I think that was a very clear, decisive win there. He did it against Giannetti. Again, those two I do not rate as splits. I don't know how they were. And then Ludovic Klein just took away all the explosiveness of Ludovic Warren and just cruised that decision. So I think this could look pretty similar to that in a lot of ways. I just think that Trizano's the better guy here. He's better at taking away the strengths of his opponents. I don't think that Almeida's getting off flying knees or any sort of submissions against Trizano. So give me Trizano and give me Trizano by a decision.
Yeah, I'm can't really add much, to be honest. Trizano's just better everywhere. I don't rate Lucas Almeida's record at all. Did Zellhuber get a contract for beating him?
Yeah. No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No.
So I thought he should have, because
he definitely should have. And he's not the one who signed to UFC now. It's Almeida.
Yeah, that worries me. I hope Zellhuber does get a fight then, like eventually with the UFC, because I think he deserves it anyway because of the hype Lucas came into it, But I think Trizano beats him everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah,
everywhere. And
Yeah,
beating
I
people
agree.
like Pena, fighting Dawson, Ludovic Klein is a very good martial artist, very good mixed martial artist. I know he's not got
he
necessarily the
dominated
wins
him.
of the UFC, but he don't exactly. I could see it going exactly the same way. So
Yeah.
I'm fully on Trezano here. I don't think it's a close fight, to be honest. I think Mike's gonna win 30-26. I think he'll win every round.
Yeah, the odds agree. Minus 240 parlay piece for me, plus 190 on Almeida. Parlay Trezano for me. He's second or third line for me on this card. So moving on to the next fight, cruising here. We're at the co-main event, which honestly, the co-main event and main event, me and Lewis have already talked about. Talked about it over on Norton MMA. You go check out those breakdowns for sure. But we're going to go over kind of our updated picks here. But just wanted to kind of mention that if we're a little brief on this fight, particularly Evloev versus Dan Ige. Right off the bat, I think this is closer than the odds indicate. They've got Evloev as a minus 400 favorite. I think that's crazy. I think this is by far the biggest test of Evloev's career. I get it. Dan Ige's lost, 3 or 4 to very high levels of competition. And it's not like he's going to get 2 of 3.
He's three losses out of his last 4 fights, but before that was on like a big spin. Yeah.
So he's lost 3 of 4 here when he's taken that huge step up in competition. But he's over at Elite XC. He's been Extreme Couture. Sorry, not Elite XC. Wow. No, he's not at the old fight organization. He's over at Extreme Couture. Been training with Eric Nixick pretty exclusively for this fight camp. On the feet is where Dan Ige has to keep this fight, obviously. He has such an advantage if it is kept there. But Evloev, does have a world-class wrestling ability, Greco-Roman, very, very good. He keeps going. He's been, steadily progressing in his level of competition as he's gone here. This is just, for me, it's Evloev's biggest test, and I think these odds are a little bit off. It keeps me from betting Evloev for sure. And it's just one of these fights that I really could see Ige having his way on the feet. And if he's able to keep it there, being able to possibly finish Evloev, honestly, as this fight goes, which is, hard to see from a guy who's undefeated in Evloev, but he's eked out a lot of these fights. And, we haven't really seen that progression in this game. He's kind of just stayed that same, high floor, high rise ceiling for Evloev type of thing, and this is the type of fight we're going to find out with. I think it's a really close fight. Evloev would be my pick by decision. I do think he's able to eke out a few of these rounds, but I mean, Ige is going to be there from start to finish, and he's not going to be given up in this fight. So I do think that Evloev has to earn it. I do think the odds are off at minus 400.
Ige to me is similar to how we discussed Chito Vera in the sense of he's built for 5 rounds, but because I know he got the quick knockout over Gavin Tucker, so I'm kind of taking that.
He's got the quick knockout of Gavin Tucker, the quick finish of Danny Henry. He finishes a low level of opponent quickly. Yeah,
but he does beat, like, whether you thought he beat Betic or Barboza, it's so competitive, and I think Barboza would beat Mosvar. Like, Mosvar's very good, but he's not faster than Ige. The grappling of Ige is so underrated. His top game and his top game pressure is unbelievable. How he can backpack someone and just slide into half guard, control the wrist, and smash him. He's like a mini Russian in that sense. He just Dagestani handcuffs you and pins it behind your back and rams you against the fence and smashes you. He can craft it brilliantly. What Movsvar's best thing to me is he's unbreakable. We discussed it when Mike Grundy got him in that Dars choke and he just ripped his neck out of it. Mike Grundy was so defeated because he pumped all of his body into that. And then Movsvar just kept hitting him and talking to him in the cage, pushing him, bullying him. Does it against Dawadu. Nick Lentz was a tough fight for him. And that worries me. There's all these little things. I do think I stand by what I picked when we discussed it. I stand by Dan Ige. I think the odds are crazy. I think it's a pick 'em for me because Dan Ige has shown that he can hang with top guys. He just can't beat them. Movsvar, is he going to show he's a top guy? If he does, brilliant. But he went to a split with Nick Lentz. And that's, That's the bit. That's the fight where Dan Ige has no problem. Beats those guys, no problem.
Exactly.
No problem. He's definitely a top 10 fighter. Is Movsar Evloev. Like, all the Russians in my comments are slaughtering me for picking Dan Ige, but I don't care. I'm sticking with him.
Yeah.
Sticking with Dan Ige. I think he can do it. I really do.
Yeah. Do you see a finish or a decision?
Oh no, I don't see Evloev being finished. I've barely seen him hurt, to be honest. He just gets out. He just gets outpicked, and I think that could happen. I don't think Dan Ige will keep it standing. I think he'll use everything. I think he'll be a complete martial artist in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him attempt a takedown. Yeah,
we have not. Have we even seen Evloev on his back?
Not on his back, no. Oh no! Yeah. When he got dash choked by Grundy, Grundy tried to take.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. When Grundy almost finished that fight. Yeah.
Yeah, Grundy took him down quite a lot, but Grundy's a different. He is a wrestler.
Right. And after that first round, Evloev took over.
There you go. So as long Dan doesn't have a cardio issue either, Grundy.
This is a really sneaky good fight that no one's talking about, man.
I love this fight. It's so hard to pick. Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, it's not that minus 400. I think a lot of people seem to be pointing to it as, in my opinion.
You see undefeated. You see the flag.
Russian. You see Russian. He's gonna move up to 155, or he was gonna be 130. Remember, he was gonna be the bantamweight champion, and then featherweight, and then he couldn't make bantamweight anymore.
But I do think if he wins this fight, you put him against Taporia, 100%, like he was meant to fight. That's what you do.
Yeah, I forgot that was supposed to be a fight.
You put him against Taporia, and then he gets knocked out because Taporia is a future champion.
Taporia is a beast.
He's a fucking menace.
Yeah, I see that Ige is getting in too many wars. That is my issue, Kelly says. I mean, he's taken a good amount of time off since his last fight.
Yeah,
so,
but I can see the point. I can see the point. He was so outclassed by Emmett and Chan Sung Young. And Calvin Cater. I can completely see that argument as well, which is could be the decline of Dan Ige, couldn't it?
Yep, totally fair.
Yeah,
we'll go on to the main event now. The heavyweight striking affair. Alexander Volkov taking on Jarizino Rozenstruik here. This should be a really interesting fight. Do we see? Oh boy! So here's where I'm at right away. To start off, I was like Volkov by decision. Volkov just outclasses him, right? As we've gotten a little closer, I've been thinking more and more about it, and I'm like, does Rozenstruik close that distance? Does he catch him? Does he? I mean, Volkov has one or two spots in every fight where he gets caught so hard, and you get so scared and so worried that you kind of wonder. And I mean, one of the things that he likes to kind of stand behind is his takedown defense. That's not going to be a thing for Rozenstruik. He doesn't care about your takedown defense. Rozenstruik, can take a lot of shots to the body and everything from everybody besides Francis Ngannou before he, kind of closes the distance here. Honestly, the bet, could you bet Volkov by decision and Rozenstruik by KO and still make money? I don't know. I'd have to look at the odds of that, but I would assume you could, because I'm sure Rozenstruik by KO is very well into the plus money, and Volkov by decision is got to be even or a little above that. So yeah, I would think so. I mean, my brain says Volkov just kind of gets a decision, uses his movement, uses the striking, mixes it up, throws a teep kick, throws some body kicks, works his volume a little bit. And unless Rozenstruik can close the distance and land one of those bombs, I just don't see him winning this fight. Zero Bob saying Ige's too big of a dog. Agreed. Always bet a fighter to lose their O. Yeah, that's fair too. But I mean, so far that has not worked against Evloev, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Volkov by decision or Rozenstruik by KO. Those are the only things that are going to happen in this fight. And I just think Volkov has learned from the Derek Lewis incident. Volkov by decision plus 210, that's my pick. Yeah, that's my bet. Volkov by decision. I like plus 210. He's a very, very experienced fighter. He's been getting better and better. Yeah, Rozenstruik plus 180. Yeah, we're making money. Rozenstruik plus 180. Volkov plus 210. Those are your two bets. And then that covers you for the hedged main event. And you're making money unless Rozenstruik gets a 5-round decision or Volkov gets a KO. Neither one's happening, in my opinion. So I think that Volkov just kind of keeps him on the outside. I think he's going to have a pretty heavy reach advantage here, heavy volume advantage as well. So, yeah, Volkov by decision, Rozenstruik by KO. It's either Rozenstruik gets buried in the volume or he lands a Derek Lewis hook, and I can't bet that. So I got Volkov by decision.
So I don't personally even see the volume happening for Volkov anymore. From what I've seen in his last few fights, he doesn't throw loads. He just throws precision. And he's chopping legs now. Because I know you said Volkov's movement. I disagree with the movement element. I kind of considering him as he's not quite as bad as Stefan Struve.
Yeah, no, he's way better than Stefan Struve
at guarding his range. But once you get inside that range, he's fucked. And he gets hit a lot.
Yeah.
If he can chop that lead leg of Rozenstruik down, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference other than to power. Because Rozenstruik doesn't bob, he doesn't cut corners, he just stalks. And I think they're going to meet in the middle. And I think the one that backs up is probably going to be Volkov in this one. Volkov lands the leg strikes when he's backing the opponent up. I think it's going to play against him. And if, as you said, if Rozenstruik can get inside that range, we know what bombs he can land. Remember, it's 5 rounds as well. The Derek Lewis fight was 3, wasn't it?
Yep.
He's got another 10 minutes to go. Rozenstruik does not.
Wait, wasn't the Derek Lewis? Was the Derek Lewis not 5?
3 rounds.
Oh my god.
He's beating him for 14 minutes.
Yep.
So he's got another 10 minutes to avoid that one bomb. We know he's got some chin issues now. He is not the same Volkov he used to be. I put Volkov, and I said this in the video, not to reiterate everything, but
that's fine.
I said in the video that we always thought Volkov was a top 5 guy, but he's not quite good enough for a top. I don't think he's that anymore. I think I put him in the same level as Tybura. I put him in the same level as Chris Daukaus.
And Rozenstruik beat Tybura, right?
Yeah. So that's the kind of the Sakai's, all that sort of. I think that's the next step. I think Aspinall took his spot in the top 5, and I think he's pushed into the 6 to 15 range now, where all those guys are so competitive. He couldn't finish Greg Hardy over 25 minutes. Couldn't finish Greg Hardy, and he's meant to be elite. Get lost.
Yeah, and this is a good thing to mention. And this is a great thing to mention by Kelly. If you have a live parlay and Volkov is your last leg, Rozenstruik is an easy for the hedge. That's exactly what you should do. You can end a lot with Volkov and then just cover with the Rozenstruik hedge.
Yeah, I think Rozenstruik can get inside and clip him. I think Rozenstruik can combo him pretty well. He when people chase away against the cage, he throws the long looping hook. You can't see my arm the whole way, but it's so looping. There's so much power generated. So when he misses a lot, but when he doesn't miss, it's chaos.
And then Cameron, I was at that fight, Lewis. I almost ripped up my ticket when I saw some girl with her tits out by the concession stand. Shit was crazy. Yep, nothing like live a UFC.
Rozenstruik needs to make it a car crash to win. Volkov needs to make it pretty simple as.
Yep. We have a disagreement on the main event.
I got Rozenstruik, yeah.
And I got Volkov by decision.
I think late 3rd, 4th, 5th round KO.
Yeah, and Zhang Li, as always, requested the 5-piece parlay to put in here. And so we'll finish off with that. For me, I'll just give it. You don't have to if you don't want to. But for me, my 5-piece is going to be Jeff Molina, Benoit Saint Denis, Joe Solecki, Alonzo Menafield, or Damon Jackson, obviously. Joe Solecki, Alonzo Menafield. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 would be my 5. Also, if I was taking out one and adding one, I would take out Solecki and add Trezano. Or if you want all 6 of those, go with Molina, Benoit Saint Denis, Damon Jackson, Joe Solecki, Alonzo Menafield, and Mike Trezano for your 6-piece money line parlay right there. So yeah, go ahead, and that's the case. And yeah, just to let you know, Kelly, Lewis talks from a pick perspective, and not from a betting perspective most of the time. So
listen to Aaron if you're betting money.
Yeah, and then I can't believe Alonzo Menafield is a legitimate play. He is a legitimate play in this situation. He's facing a guy who's facing a 5-6 MMA fighter in BKFC and a dive of an opponent to get into UFC 2 years ago. So yeah, Alonzo Menifield is on my play. So if you don't want to take it, I gave you the 6, and you can take Menifield out and, you know, go with the Trezano, go with Selecki, Damon Jackson, Benoit Saint Denis, and Jeff Molina if you don't want Alonzo Menifield. So that's all good too. And so, yeah. And so either way, yeah. Like,
my parlay is Botello, Felice Herrig. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. all the favorites. Yeah. So that's that's gonna do it. No, I'm on Menifield. We talked, but man, yeah, it is crazy times. I mean, when my 5 most confident includes Benoit Saint Denis, Alonzo Menifield, Mike Trezano, and that's what kind of card this is. So could get kind of crazy this weekend, but that's going to do it for the UFC breakdown. As I said, the LFA 133 breakdown is on the channel right now. I'll be adding the timestamps to that right after this with Lucky Locks made his return. Got this. And then, we'll be back next week. We are 2 away from 500 people, 498. Let's get to 500 by next week. We can do it. I believe in us all. Thank you all for joining me. Appreciate you, Lewis, being here. Check out Norton MMA. Got some great matchups over there. Recaps of all the events as well. Subscribe to Norton MMA, people. Just got over 1,000. Get him paid. So appreciate you, Lewis. Everybody enjoy the fights. LFA and 1FC Friday, UFC on Saturday. Peace out, and good luck on your hockey bets tonight if you're making those.